The Bikeriders. The first thing is, spoiler alert. The second thing is, if you haven't seen this movie, you need to do so right now while it's in theaters. This is definitely a theater experience, especially if you love to experience sound that truly surrounds you without having to spend a fortune on an at-home home theater setup. The best thing in this film is definitely the story, and that's what the filmmaker should really look to pull from when watching it. Written and directed by Jeff Nichols, this film stars Jodie Comer, Austin Butler, Tom Hardy, Michael Shannon, Norman Reedus. I mean, all of these people create a world that engages you instantly from the very first encounter with them. It grabs a hold of you and it toys with your mind when you can't help but ask yourself if this is real, if bikers are really like this, and also simultaneously imagine yourself a part of it. Inspired by the photo book of the same name by Danny Lyon, depicts the lives of the Vandals Motorcycle Club, which is a fictional version of the Outlaws Motorcycle Club. This is an amazing movie. This is an amazing story, and this is something that's very, very special. So, again, spoiler alert, but now we go into the story. We open our eyes in 1965. Kathy Bauer meets Benny Cross, a hot-headed member of the Chicago-based Vandals Motorcycle Club, and marries him just 5 weeks later, after her Stephen King killer character-looking boyfriend dumps her. On a side storyline that basically represents the backbone for the film is with photography student Danny Lyon, who travels with and interviews the Vandals. He learns from Kathy that the founder, Johnny Davis, was supposedly inspired to create the club after watching Marlon Brando in The Wild One. She says things started up really after Johnny started a motorcycle racing league and then moved forward into creating an actual club. It doesn't take long for Johnny's leadership to be challenged when he rebuffs a Vandal's suggestion that new chapters be allowed to form. They engage in a fist fight, which Johnny wins. He reestablishes his authority but grants permission to expand the club anyway. New chapters begin to form across the Midwest. The big turning point in the film is when Benny is attacked by two men at a bar for wearing his colors. If you don't know what colors are, those are the bike gang logos. You take those off, you no longer represent the gang. You keep those colors on, and now you have to defend the gang from anyone who wants to oppose it. The fight is brutal. Benny gets a blade out of his boot and slashes one of their faces only to take a hit to the back of the head by a shovel to create literally the coolest title card I've ever seen. Then, while he's on the ground, the guy takes the shovel to his ankle. His foot is nearly severed off completely by that shovel. In this moment, Kathy has this amazing monologue about how Benny doesn't cry, that he only ever comes close to crying when he thought he could never ride again. It's such a special scene, and such an eye-opener for the audience on the character of Benny. This is an important place for the filmmaker to note when you're making your own movies. To create a moment like this is something that will set your film apart and especially let your audience get a deeper understanding on who your character is. It's masterfully done. So, when Johnny's pissed and has to defend his boy, he and the other bikers ride up to the bar and rev their engines very Mad Max style right at the front door. Then Johnny comes in and forces the owner to provide the names of the men, and then orders the Vandals to burn down the bar. They then stand there watching it burn, while the police and firefighters and townspeople all watch from the sidelines. This is the first place that Johnny and the gang realize how much power they truly have. Everyone fears them. They can do whatever they want. While Benny is recovering from surgery, Johnny pressures him to come to the motorcycle rally before he's fully healed. To Kathy's objection, Johnny offers Benny leadership of the club when he steps down, but Benny rejects it. It's then that a 20-year-old delinquent known as the Kid asks Johnny to allow him and his motorcycle club to join the Vandals. This kid is from nothing. His house is abusive, his mother abandons him, but he has a tenacity and a natural-born leadership trait. He collects a group of rugrats who build their own bikes and then stops by the Vandals' hangout to request to join up. Johnny initially dismisses them, but decides to test the kid by allowing only him to join. When he expresses willingness to abandon his friends, Johnny rejects him. The kid attacks Johnny with a knife, who beats him and warns him not to come back. This is the point where Johnny is starting to crumble. He wants out of this gang, but there is no out for him, and he's starting to realize there's no out for really any of them. In 1973, Leon interviews Kathy about the fate of the Vandals. She explains that Johnny became despondent after the death of his Lieutenant Brucey in a bike accident, and that the club grew increasingly violent after drug-addicted Vietnam War veterans joined the ranks. At a party, an original member, Cockroach, was beaten by the guys when he drunkenly expressed a desire to leave the club and to become a motorcycle cop. He said, "What's better than sitting on a bike all day and getting paid for it?" Kathy is nearly raped at the same time while Benny is busy taking Cockroach to the hospital, but she is narrowly rescued by Johnny. Furious that Benny wasn't at the party to protect her, she demands Benny to quit the Vandals, but instead, he leaves her for several days. Cockroach asks Johnny to leave the club, And so, to allow him to safely leave the club, Johnny takes Benny to stage a break-in at his house, where they shoot him non-fatally in the leg. When Johnny tells Benny that this is how they get Cockroach out of the gang, he questions this increasing violence and again rejects Johnny's offer of leadership. Benny quits it all and leaves Chicago without telling anyone where he's gone, including Kathy. The kid, now a member of the Vandals Milwaukee chapter, comes back for some revenge and challenges Johnny to a knife fight for leadership. This is a great part, a really cinematic piece that stands out. They're in the bar. Johnny is old and is lost and is clearly not just living day by day. The kid comes back and Johnny makes a remark that he got in from somewhere else. The kid challenges him. He asks fists or knives. The kid says knives. It's one of the coolest scenes in the whole movie. Then we get to see from Johnny's perspective as he lives out the rest of his day waiting for the fight, feeling like something is going to happen. He's a tough guy, so he doesn't tell anyone, but deep down he knows he's not going to make it. His wife doesn't notice. His kids are out doing whatever. He even goes to Kathy and shows something's wrong, but she doesn't know how to get out of him, and he won't tell anyone. Then he goes to the showdown and waits. The kid is late, but he shows up. It's dark and cold, and you can just tell that Johnny doesn't want to do it. Tom Hardy plays it so well, grabbing one of the biggest knives I've ever seen while wearing this massive set of brass knuckles. He stalks up in front of the car headlights only to be shot down and killed like a dog. The kid takes over. The gang members have nothing else to say. Johnny's dead. Kathy explains to Lyon that after the kid took over the Vandals, they became a very large criminal gang involved in drug trafficking and murder. The older members either fell in line or left to obtain legitimate jobs or died. Benny, when he learns of Johnny's death, returns home and breaks down. This is the first time she's seen him cry, when he loses a friend. He and Kathy relocate to Florida, where Benny works as a mechanic and has stopped riding motorcycles. Kathy tells Lyon that they are happy, and Benny doesn't miss the biker lifestyle. Outside, though, Benny hears motorcycles nearby and wistfully smiles at her. This story is truly powerful, and if you haven't been sold to watch it for the story, then watching it for the technical aspects such as the lighting and the cinematography and the sound design will be surely worthwhile. When it comes to how special this story is, though, it really is not. It really is top-notch. You have the beginning sequence following a character that makes sense to follow. Kathy has a big mouth. Kathy is from Chicago and likes to talk. Kathy has a lot to talk about because she's got a really interesting story to tell and a lot of ears who want to hear it. Kathy did something that not many other girls did. Then, you come into the world of the biker gang by getting swooned with the devilishly handsome Austin Butler. This place is scary. The people are gross, but Austin and his gravel voice make you really want to stay. Tom Hardy then has you with the absolute staying power of just being so badass and interesting that you just can't take your eyes away when he gets on that screen. His character is so full of intrigue, even just being your regular Joe who turns around his darker side the deeper he gets into his own hobbies. It's not just that, but the regret that he forms in the human side of Johnny really helped to capture the audience into the turmoil that is being such a big part of a biker gang. And then, don't count out fucking Norman Reedus coming in and playing a wild character that sometimes outwilds every other one we've seen. And we've seen some really crazy characters. From monologues from Michael Shannon that make your jaw drop to powerful displays of dominance from Tom Hardy, there's not much in this film that doesn't get your heart pumping. So for the filmmaker, study the story and the flow. Study how the characters build and mold off of each other. And then especially with Kathy, away from each other in a place that's supposed to be all about brotherhood and community, those individual pieces help to really expose a story to its fullest means and will get your fan base to not only adore the film, but keep their minds trapped in it for years to come. And so for the film lover, check this film out and support these filmmakers. They do an amazing job and really create a world that is so full and powerful. You'll be thankful that you got to experience it.